Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. I got a video today from ManTalk.
Could a female UFC fighter beat up an average male?
No.
This question went viral on Threads last week, where dozens, probably actually hundreds of men replied, no, a female UFC fighter absolutely could not beat up an average man, and in fact...
I would go around like 40, 60. She could probably beat like 40% of men. 60% of men, probably not.
They were very confident that they could beat her up. I think it bears mentioning here that every trained martial artist, professional fighter who I saw weigh in was of the opinion that not only would this female UFC fighter win, but she would likely only need one well-placed strike to just knock those guys
Strikes, I highly doubt.
right on their asses.
Hey comrade, trained martial artist here with over 20 years experience. I've trained women and I've trained with women, and in my humble opinion, a female UFC fighter might have a 10% chance of beating up an average man if that man isn't particularly angry at the moment and doesn't really fight back.
This is exactly where I would go with it too. Exactly what ManTalk is saying. If it was for survival and this man was allowed to go full on whatever the hell he wanted to do, women are not going to be able to defend themselves. Trust me. Right? Yes, in a very like ruled setting, very controlled setting, she might have a lot more advantages and things. But if men were just allowed to use their full aggression on fights, oh my God.
What? Because you see, that one well-placed strike that you think is all she needs to knock the guy on his ass might actually connect because she has the technical skills. However,
correct,
having been on the receiving end of full power punches and kicks from women, they don't do a lot of damage. On the other hand, if the average guy connects with a sloppy punch on the female fighter, he might break her jaw. So,
true,
yeah. 90% of the time, my money would be on the average guy.
Here's my question.
So he's an actual martial artist, so he went with 90%, right? I went with 60%, which I knew men definitely were going to averagely beat women a lot more, even if they were trained or not.
Why are we just speculating? This isn't like man versus bear or 100 men versus one gorilla. This is something that we can actually test in real life.
It's already been tested in real life for the last 10,000 years or so, and that's why no matriarchal societies have survived into the modern era.
And look, I am not a violent man. But I do think it would be worthwhile if we took every man who responded to say that no, a female UFC fighter would not win a fight against an average man.
So I guess that includes me.
Put their names into like a bucket and drew one out at random. And the winner of that draw would get the chance to face off with a female UFC fighter and learn just how wrong he is.
Again, in the comments section, someone said, I think too highly of myself that I can beat on a UFC fighter. No, I don't think highly of myself. I think highly of average men. I said this, right? I think highly of men and the strength of men. I'm crippled. I literally have metal in my bone. I can't even use my wrist properly. If I punch something too hard, my wrist would literally probably break, right? I'm not saying I'm a seasoned fighter or anything, but when we're talking about aggression, and if we're talking about just whoever can win, and I'm allowed to do whatever I need to do to win, I don't think I'm going to lose to most women fighters, right? But when we're talking about an average man that doesn't have injuries like me or anything like that, I think even more that they're going to win. So I'm like below average in strength and all that, and height and weight, but most men are about average. So that average is going to be stronger than me in a sense. That's how I saw things.
You're kidding, right?
Stop it. Get some help.
And a lot of men wouldn't be afraid of that, myself included. Although,
right?
Personally, I don't see the point of that fight. I mean, a man beating on a woman just to prove a biological reality that we're all aware of? Kinda cringe, my guy.
A little bit.
Also, Dana White would never let that happen because, you see, despite whatever girl boss fantasies you and other people might have, that average dude could severely injure the female fighter if he actually goes all out in that fight.
Yep.
That's why all sports have male and female divisions, and it's why men should not compete against women in sports, because men have the clear physical advantage. However, the internet being what it is, some people actually tested that theory, so first, let's look at a non-combat sport. Soccer.
The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world at the time,
Outstanding, yeah.
lost 7-0 to a team of 15-year-old boys.
What?
It is ridiculous to watch, little boys just manhandle women, professional women. Easy peasy. 17. That's a lot of points for a soccer match.
So, in a sport that involves no violence, the women's soccer team ranked 5th in the world lost to a bunch of teenage boys.
Exactly.
Now
This is why when men in the comment section are like, comment section are like, oh yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to beat. Biology, most of our lives dictate that most men are going to destroy most women most of the time.
moving on to combat sports, here we have champion boxer Clarissa Shields fighting a male boxer who has much less experience than she does.
Yes. Oh!
Hey, I'm not surprised,
Now let's see a female karate black belt fighting an average man who has absolutely no training.
It don't hurt. Their strikes are a lot less painful than men's strikes. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, but compared to men's strikes. See, this is almost life or death situation right now, right? For her at least. But she still can't even get herself out of it. Like those strikes are doing nothing to this man. He is a little bit more fit than most men, I think. Look, he's scared. He's not even trying. That's the
I'm
goal.
not surprised,
But comrade,
He's just kind of like pushing her off, like slightly slapping her here and there, and she's going, ah!
guess what? Former two-time UFC champion Juliana Pena actually fought an average man. Guess how that went?
My stupidity thinking that I could beat a man. I went into the back alley while I was serving and I fought the line cook, going at each other for a long time. A long story. He dropped me 3 times. I got dropped. I popped right back up. I went at him again. He dropped me again. I had my eye swollen shut for 3 days and 11 stitches in my eye. I thought that I could fight a man. I don't have any ego to be like, I could beat a man. Learned my lesson. I don't want anything to do with fighting dudes. I actually was in my head of being like, no, I'm a pro fighter. I can fight this guy and I'm going to beat him. Juliana, he's 6'3". You're 5'6". Like,
Okay, he wasn't an average man. A 6'3" man is quite above average, especially in height and weight. So I'll give her this one. He was a little bit above average.
Take that into account, you know,
She
or like
still
trying to
got
like
rocked.
bob and weave your way in there to like get him down. All I gotta do is get in close and take him down, and then I'll choke him.
Not only would this female UFC fighter win, but she would likely only need one well-placed strike to just knock those guys right on their asses.
I couldn't even do that because the second that I tried to enter, I was getting dropped.
Pow! Right in the kissing.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
Comrade, know your role and shut your mouth.
And that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Shout outs to Man Talk for being straight up mad on that one. You know, like, sometimes I feel if I project too harsh, because I'm not a professional fighter myself. I don't watch fighting professionally. So I just go by what I can observe. That's why I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm almost positive. Like, damn positive that most average men are going to beat professional women fighters. Damn positive. Am I gonna know for sure? Do I have the statistics in my head? But no, when another trained fighter or, you know, someone that's been in martial arts or for 20 plus years or so are kind of agreeing with it, it makes sense to me, right? Because pure raw aggression, testosterone, if we were put into the ring to where survival mode was it, no rules, nothing, men are gonna win. Men are gonna elbow the shit out of you, gonna freaking poke, fucking rip everything, dude. Like, this is what men do. We fight. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Really appreciate that. And